Yo, guys, we finally have the right settings up. So, I thought I was going to do this because I want to try and keep this to like 15 minutes, the talking part to 15 minutes. I want to set a timer and then set a timer for 15 minutes. And then I have my pointers. So, Sana, and you would have seen in the coming vlog that I'm wearing slippers, but I just took them out so that damn binging out, because one thing about me. Hi guys, and welcome to a sit down. Is it our first sit down for the year? I think so. So this is what life lately. And basically kind of updating you on what's been going on, and what else. Yeah, to just give you a picture of what my first quarter looked like, even though I wasn't here on YouTube. But yeah, I want to give you a picture. So let's do this. So the first quarter of the year started off for me and the family on a high note. And a high note not because anything had happened, but because we had committed to doing the Daniel fast in January, right? And I was going to do 7 days, the first 7 days dry, and Osive was going to do just 24 hours dry, and then we were going to then journey together with Daniel, right? But because God is good, without me convincing him, without like me saying anything to him, he decided that he wanted to join me on the 7 days. So for the first 7 days, well, we tried to do 7 days, but getting to the 7th day was hard. So we did 6 days dry, and then the rest of it we did Daniel, right? So, you know, we started in a high because we were very spiritually clear. There were specific things that we were praying about. One of those things, I think core to our prayers was one, a financial breakthrough, and I'll explain that as we go. Second was acceptance for me, because there was I had applied for a particular program, which I want to tell you about. Third was healing for one of my family members, and then there were also like things that we're praying for, like specific to our families and all of that. But those are some of kind of the top tier things that we're praying for. So it was quite a beautiful experience. I don't think that anything could have actually prepared us for how beautiful it is to meet God with your life partner. Like, it's miraculous, it is life-changing, and I think when we look at our marriage, it will probably be one of the milestones for us. So that's what we did. That was January, and we were like, guys, we were fervently praying because, you know, our need was dire, and our need to just also have an experience of God that we had never had before was also quite dire. So that's how the first year started. Within a few weeks into the fast, we received the news that I had been accepted. So I had applied for a master's in leadership coaching at Stellenbosch Business School, and the Lord said yes. So received the news. And unfortunately, with how the thing with school went, is that I applied for that like the what is it, qualification, degree, whatever. I applied for it at the beginning of Jan, né? Because originally their closing date was in December, and they moved the date to beginning of Jan, I think around the 9th of Jan or something. And I had come across that I had come across the course by chance, really, literally by chance, and Naibona in December. So if you have been in the academic space, you will know that when you're applying for funding, you have to do it like beginning of the year, ne? Find all of the scholarships and all of that. And because applications, like I found the course only in December, and they were closing their registrations or application process beginning of January. It made it an anxiety-filled journey, or it started out with a lot of anxiety because I didn't have funding for it, and we didn't have the funding for it, right? And so we're literally just trusting God with this. And that's what we did. We applied. I got accepted towards the end of Jan. And I literally had 2 weeks to register. And so I'll insert clips here because I had done vlogs. And I don't know whether it's best for me to... you guys can let me know. Because I've got a vlog that, like, recordings that I did when I went to school. So I've got that. I don't know if you would want to see that or if I should include them here. Maybe I'll include clips and then I'll still have the vlog because I want to keep those memories as well. So yeah, so got accepted, had 2 weeks to basically figure out how to pay for registration. I promised myself I'm not gonna cry, but if I do, it is what it is. That 2 weeks was hard, particularly because we were praying about this. And at the very last minute, I had so many people pull in because it wasn't just registration. It was also having to find accommodation in Cape Town and book flights to Cape Town. So yeah, Uthixo laid people along the way, and I know that because it's people that I know personally, they wouldn't want me to share their names, but there are so many people who came in and pitched in and made it possible for me to go to Cape Town. And that's why actually I want to keep the memories of me going to school, because that was a dream. That was a dream. And maybe to give you context, you're 77 minutes in. To give you context, I had dropped out of my first master's in 2014. Because I was just going through a lot and there wasn't clarity or alignment in terms of why I was doing the master's, right? And I'd also come to the cognizance that I'm a certificate collector. Well, I used to be. So there was value. I had attached a lot of my value to the certificate or to degrees and all of that. And God was doing a work in me from that time up until, it's almost 10 years later, where I was now going back to school, but going back to school differently, because it was not about who I want to show. It wasn't about what value this would mean for me and my identity. It simply was a dream that I had that was coming to pass. So going back to school was a huge prayer for me for many years. And again, like even just after we had gotten married, or was it before, I registered for an MBA, but it was with an international school. And there were certain things that just weren't aligning, and so I had to pause that. And so it felt like academically, andidentifikelele. You get what I mean? And I think, there's so many of us who may feel like that, where you're trying to do certain things or you keep trying to do the same thing, but it's just not aidibambe. That's how I felt about my academic journey. But because God is faithful, I was able to register, and I was able to register, able to get to Cape Town. My sister-in-law accommodated me, which was a really great blessing. And like izinto just fell into place, right? I still don't have funding. So if izinto zami ziyapopa apha YouTube, trust me, all of that money is going to be going to my studies. I still don't have funding, and this is the first year. The first module was good, with some challenges, and I think it brings me to the second point. So one of the things, as I said, was that we were praying for a family member, and you guys may have seen. So maybe let me explain this. I'll add another 5 minutes. Let me explain this. So you guys would have seen a video, yomncwabo, ne? And I'm sure some of you were just like, this is random, and it really was. And so the video was not supposed to go public. The video I had made for our family, right? And I thought YouTube was the best place because it simply was a matter of sending them a link and just making sure that right? So I set the video on private. But when I set the video on private, I could view it, right? But when I sent the video to my aunt, for example, she couldn't view it. And so it then brought us to what do I do? And that particular day, I had wanted to send it to her because we had a conversation. And I thought, you know what, let me do this, because I had been sitting with the clips and not doing it. So I edit and and she just was struggling. And I tried to send the video via WeTransfer. It was too big. Then I asked her, is it okay if I just set it public for just maybe a day or two, and then she can view it and maybe send it to anyone else, and then we'll set it to private again. And she was like, no, she doesn't mind. And so that's why the video went public. But it brings gang to this point that, as I said, one of the things we're praying for in January was the healing of a family member. My grandmother, maternal side, my grandmother is one of 7 kids. By the time I was born, there was only 4 of them. Sis Vuiswa, my grandma today, Umbloza, and Umalume. So Umalume, obviously my grandfather, but because everyone called him Malume, I ended up calling him Malume, right? So there was 4 of them. Last year, at the beginning of the year, I spoke about this. Malume passed away, and the grief rocked me because I didn't think that his passing would hit me as hard as it did. But it did, and it was at the beginning of the year, around the same time, really, because Malume passed on just before Ibe Easter. Mbloza passed on Simngcwabe a weekend before Easter weekend, I think. So Malume passed on last year, which meant that Usis Vuiswa passed away. My mother passed away in 2004 in March. Usis Vuiswa passed away 10 months after Uspokazi. Uspokazi is my mom. So Usis Vuiswa passed away. So that was their older sister, passed away in 2005, I think. Or was it 2004 as well? But it was 10 months later after my mom. I remember that. And then yeah, and then it was just the three of them. So it was Utute, it was Mbloza, and it was Malume. And Mbloza, then Malume passed on last year, and so Mbloza was in hospital from the third week of Jan, I think. Yeah, I think it was the third week of Jan. And unfortunately, she didn't make it. And so I came back from school. I was at school the week of the 8th of February. I came back on the Sunday or Saturday. Came back on the Saturday. And ndahlala that week trying to recover, because I'm a person who's been studying a lot, ne? But my studying obviously was not, let's do another 10 minutes. Let's do another 10 minutes and then I'm gonna close it. So, ndingumundofundayo all the time. So, studying is not like, it doesn't bring pressure. But in this instance, there was a bit of pressure because, I had to be in class from 8 a.m. until 5 every day for 5 days. And I mean, I even arrived late because they actually had started the registration the Thursday before. So I was like 3 days late. And yeah, so for 5 days, I literally was doing skolo. And it's what I prayed for. I wasn't complaining. But when I came back, I needed to rest a bit just to reset. And after resting a bit, Mbloza passed on that week. And interestingly enough, Mbloza passed on a day where there was a virtual module that was starting. There was a module that was starting, but it was going to be a virtual one. And the class was about 6 hours. And that morning, we lost her. And so I had a choice. So I not attend the session, but I'm also like, if I don't attend it, if she were here, would she want that? So I attended the session. It was difficult. My mind kept on drifting in and out. And one of the things that I think made it easy for me to maybe cope in that particular day, there's someone who I haven't journeyed with. And when I say journeyed with, I mean I haven't coached her. But it's someone that I know, so I've journeyed with just in life, but not in a coaching perspective. And she posted something that I often say, which was, anytime we get into something new, we ought to give ourselves grace because we've never been there before, right? So whether it's a new job, a new role, grief, losing someone, losing something, failure, whatever it may be, you've never been there before. And because you've never been there before, it's new to you, right? And so she posted that on status, on her WhatsApp status. And so I'm busy, scrolling because I'm trying to distract my mind, I guess. I come across this thing. That's when it landed, that we have never been here before as a family. We have never been here where my grandmother is the only surviving sibling or child out of 7 kids. We have never been here where we've lost people 1 year after another. And also, traumatic losses, because even if they are older, I mean, she was old, but she wasn't, my grandmother was older than her, so she wasn't that old. So, it's just, we had just never been here before. And in my mind, I kept on thinking, this is absurd. So many lost opportunities. And lost opportunities because my family is not the most close-knit family. Not the most close-knit. And there were things that I was specifically praying for my family for years. reconciliation, healing, restoration. And it felt that maybe the key actors in all of that were going, right? And also the custodians of some of the hurt, family hurt that we've experienced. And when I say custodians, I'm not saying that like babezi perpetrators, but they're, I'll say 4 generations within my family. So my great grandparents, my grandmother's generation, which is all of her siblings, my mother's generation, and all of her cousins, so their children, and then my mother's generation's children, which is where I fall in. So I'm somewhat 4th generation, right? And there's so many things that happened within my great grandparents' generation, within my grandmother's generation, where there was a lot of hurt amongst all of them, right? All of them. No one is accepted, like has an exception to it. All of them have hurt each other and have hurt all of us in the process. And so I think what hurt about the loss Gambloza was that it felt as if all of the things that I had been praying for years, the people who ought to be the one who paved that path in terms of what I thought were now going, and so it was hurtful on that end. It was also hurtful because I felt for her children, and even though her children are older, losing a parent, guys, and losing a mother specifically is a trauma that like I felt for her grandchildren. I felt for my grandmother. So it hurt. But as you would have seen in the previous video, we buried Mbloza, a beautiful, beautiful send-off, fitting for a ladylike, well-composed human being who was beautiful. Just a beautiful, beautiful send-off. And she deserved it. She deserved it. She worked very hard for many years, and she deserved it. So we buried Mbloza. So that was grief. And then what subsequently happened, I traveled to Cape Town, and then I came back. And shortly after traveling to Cape Town and coming back, I had to travel again. Uluhle started having withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal symptoms, but she started acting out, and she was very clingy when I got back. Very clingy. And it didn't stop. Like, I observed her for weeks on end. Like, Uluhle would just be like, and Uluhle's 4. She's heavy. And if you didn't know, I'm a short girl, okay? I'm not a short girl who's strong. I'm still getting there. Forever wanted to be comforted. And we also got reports at school, her teacher saying that, she's noticed differences in her. And her dad had explained that my life is somewhat different to what we're used to. Because she's always been used to both of us being at home. Her dad works from home, I work from home. So, she would leave for school and I get her ready. She comes back, mama's at home. And everything really we do together. And now, all of a sudden, it's like you're gone for a week and then you're here and then you're gone again. Yeah, bo? So, navigating that just as a parent was hard for me. Hard, one, because I felt for her. I didn't know that abruptness would affect her the way it did. But I also looked at it and I was like, gosh, if Luhle experienced such a wave of emotions and questioning herself because I was in and out of the house, right? That means just as a child, how you perceive the things that happen when your parent just absent leaves and never comes back is exactly that, right? And she felt it in 2 weeks. And we have literally been trying to get her back to herself ever since. It's April. She's become better. We've also had to change some things, which I'll talk about as well. So yeah, here's another 10 minutes gone, Sana. And I think, yeah, so parenting has been challenging because the changes were things that I really didn't expect. But God is helping us and she's better. And work and business. Obviously, because I haven't been myself, I said this in the vlog that you guys will probably see after this, is that, okay, 5 more minutes. One thing about me in data, oh my gosh. Okay, so obviously because of all the changes and everything that we've been going through, I haven't felt like myself for a good 2.5 months. I haven't felt like my feet are on the ground, and you know, there's glimpses of me where I'm just like, yeah, I'm recognizing me, but I haven't really been myself. And grief does that. Grief does that, but not only in grieving Umbloza, and I think somewhat still grieving Malume. And that's another thing with grief, is that then other losses resurface, right? I'm at the age where my mother was when she passed on. And it keeps hitting me that my mother died at 34, you know? And it pains me that she never got to live her dreams. And I feel like my life is just beginning at 34. So, well, I'm turning 34 at the end of the year, sorry. So all of these things, like feeling like that and thinking about all of these things, obviously resurfaces a level of grief. But I'm also grieving not lost, but maybe delayed dreams and prayers. And because I haven't been myself, it's been difficult for me to really show up 100% in my work and in other projects as well. You know, I've really been taking things slow. And it's only now that I'm feeling like, okay, I'm back to myself, you know, I'm getting there. But it's been difficult to get here. Like, it's been hard to get here. And I continuously, I'm dedicating a lot of time to fueling myself with the word, exercise, journaling, meditation. I'm trying to be intentional about those things, because those are the things that bring me home to myself. Those are the things that bring me closer to me. But it's hard. It's hard. And so that's basically been the past 3 months. Challenging. Work has been hard because I'm not myself. It's hard for me to put myself out there. But I also think that Koko, a part of me that was like, Sana, we are now entering the 4th year of running this business, and it's not bearing the fruit that I had hoped that it would bear at this time. And research always says, you know, after the 3rd year, things start picking up. And I have this fear and anxiety of letting go of the business or letting go of the dream. Gandhi, the breakthrough is right around the corner, you know? And so that's also something that I'm navigating. And there's also parts of me that I'm grieving. Guys, wow. So I have to tell you this, and I promise it's going to be quick, but it's funny. Well, to me. So, okay, that record, fine. And just as I'm switching the camera off, I noticed that there's a part that didn't record, the last part. Nah? And the battery is already flashing, so I charged the battery. Do you battery charge early, and then oh, you'll even notice that I didn't put on my lip stuff. Hi, Betu. Still up on. So charged the battery. I had lunch, and what else did I do? Oh, I transferred some of the footage onto my hard drive so that I could have space. So I'm telling my husband that, yo, let me go and record this last part because I lost it, and then because the camera stopped. So I was a kumba. The camera stopped. Jani. So no, it stopped and I didn't notice. I only noticed after it was done. And he asks me, why didn't you flip the camera while you were recording? Why didn't I? Oh, nazoke. The window's actually open. Oh, Sana. So in case you have been impatient with some content creators, for whatever reason, dilapha to say siceli grace. Well, I don't know if I would qualify as a content creator yet, but as people who are trying siceli grace, because wow, it's a lot. So I flipped the screen. I'm looking at the screen now. It seems like everything's working, but I wanted to wrap up the conversation. So excuse me that, and well, my lips are moisturized, but and fakanga all the other stuff that I had previously because we had to have a short break. But I wanted to finish the conversation, and I think I was on the work business thing, and I think that last clip ended where I was saying I'm grieving a lot of parts of me, some that I feel I've lost, and it might have been necessary for me to lose them, but some I'm just like, I don't know if I have necessarily lost those parts of me, or I have to work extra hard to get to a point where I feel united with those parts of me, or even if they are necessary, right, for where I'm at now. I don't know, but that's what I'm figuring out. So that's what this journey has looked like. Guys. So that's what's been happening with me. That's what the first quarter looked like. And actually, I just came across a clip on Instagram by Nosy, the real Nosy. I don't know what Nosy's surname is. Might be Shamalala. You are Mandingabi. Okay, my phone is, I'll put her name up. But she was talking about the necessity of conversations. Create conviction, and conviction obviously for change. Now I'm using my own words, but in summary, that's what she was saying. And I think even as I look at this conversation, this is one of those conversations where I am learning to give myself permission to feel, and permission to feel and sit with and in every experience that I get. I'm giving myself permission to be, right? So when grief waves come, I'm giving myself the permission to be present with those waves, to reflect on those waves if it's necessary. I'm giving myself permission to ask questions. And those questions most times are questions to myself and questions to God, right? But I'm also giving myself permission to be honest about what I'm experiencing and what I'm feeling, and to be honest about what my blind spots have been, right? So that's also something that you're going to find as we do more sit downs, is that Sana, we are on a journey of telling the truth here, and telling the truth as how we see it, experience it, and not trying to hide. And so I don't know what conversation you need to have, or who you need to give an update to, right? But I'm doing this to account for myself, but to account to also the people. As small as, the channel may be, the 350 odd people that are here, I honor them. And in as much as it may seem like, oh my gosh, it's not necessary for you to give so much detail, it's important to me because I'm also accounting to myself. And so as I account to you guys, I'm also accounting to myself. I'm also recollecting internally on where I'm at and taking stock, right? And that's important for me so that I figure out where I may need to change direction or stay the course, or quit in certain things. So yeah, that's what the first quarter has looked like. It feels like I'm only getting into the second quarter now. The first 3 months of this year felt like an entire year, or even 2 years. And at some point, building us as in dates. That thing where you wake up, it's just like, what day is it? What month is it? Yeah, so, but I'm getting better. I'm getting there. And even if you're experiencing some of the things that I've mentioned, just know that it's going to be okay. We'll get to the other side. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share with a friend. Share with a family member. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to us growing the channel. I'm committed to growing the channel this year. I know I said it last year, but I'm really committed to growing the channel this year. And Digital, about when it grows, it has to pay my fees. So I'm praying that it does grow, but not for the monetary purpose. I mean, that would be great, but I want to grow the channel because I'm being intentional about doing what God says I must do and doing it the best way that I can do it. So that's what we're about. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Much love. Bye.